Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Phoenix, Arizona, it's time for Phoenix Business Radio, spotlighting the city's best businesses and the people who lead them.
Good afternoon. This is Jody Lowe with the Leadership Lowdown, powered by You and Improved and Conscious Capitalism Arizona. Leadership Lowdown is a radio series dedicated to shining a spotlight on Valley business leaders, their triumphs, their struggles, how they got to the top, what stopped them on the way, and all the lessons they've learned. So I am thrilled. Today I get to, I want to say sit across from, because we're usually in the studio, but be via Zoom with two human beings that I love and adore. We have Miss Ann Cvelich. She is the dual general manager. And I will say that again, dual. Yes. Why take care of one hotel property when you can manage two? She's the dual general manager for two beautiful Marriott properties here in Scottsdale, the Courtyard Marriott Salt River, as well as the Residence Inn. So welcome, my dear friend, Ann.
Thank you so much, Jody. I'm so excited to be here.
I know. This is so much fun. And then another friend of, I think we determined now 5 or so years, my dear friend, Travis Gepson. He is the business development director for Rocky Mountain Restoration. They do all that incredible work that you don't ever want to have to even think about or want to do, but he's the number you want to have in your phone when you need him. So Travis, so great to have you here too, my friend.
Always fun to be with you, Joey.
Well, thank you both. Well, the whole point of this Leadership Lowdown is really to do exactly that, highlight Valley leaders and hear about your stories. I've always felt like it's so interesting to hear why people chose their careers, how they got there, what they've learned, who were their mentors, just all of that good stuff that relates to life and business. So that's what the conversation is all about today. And this can go in any direction you both choose. But I will start off with Miss Ann, because I know you've got a fun background. So you just started at Marriott, like 30 days ago, right?
Yeah.
We're 30 years, right?
I will be celebrating 34 years with Marriott in January of 2022. I can't believe it.
Which is so incredible, especially in a day and age when, so many people are at a job for 1.7 years and then it's like, and next, yeah. 34 years. So you basically started when you were 5, if I didn't have correct.
Indeed. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. I got you, girl. So tell us about how this all started. What got you into working with Marriott, and how did it all begin for you?
Oh, such a cool story, really. So we moved to Arizona from New York in 1979. Mm-hmm. I was 14 years old then, and my mom, we had come in vacation at the JW Marriott Camelback Inn for several years. Always New Yorkers coming to enjoy Arizona's amazing springs, right? And my mom made friends with the restaurant manager at Camelback Inn. She was also from New York, and talked about the fact that we're going to move there. And so she told my mom, when you come, I'll hire you. So, you'll have a job here. My dad was doing his own business. And so literally we moved in 1979. Again, I was too young to work, but my mom started working for the Marriott Camelback Inn first. And then, of course, I saw it and loved it. And we stayed there. And it was just like, oh, I need to work there because it's so cool, right? So literally the month after I turned 16, I started at the JW Marriott Camelback Inn working on the weekends. My title was Good Morning Girl, which definitely has gone away.
Oh, no, it hasn't. It hasn't.
But basically my job was a pot of coffee and a pot of water in my hand, and I would follow the hostess to the tables. She'd walk away and I'd say, good morning, would you like coffee and water? And I'd walk to the next table. It was a very difficult, very stressful job. So I did that for a long time, but it was so cool because my mom knew the manager. So that was my in, and just a weekend job through high school was my mindset. That's where it's going to be. And one thing led to another. And I went to Scottsdale Community College. I did not finish because my career started taking off more. So I really just jumped into working there. JW Marriott Camelback Inn is a 5-star, 5-diamond resort here in the Valley. And I worked there for my first 10 years with the company. It was amazing. Did a lot of different jobs in a lot of different ways. And I moved to the Scottsdale Marriott Suites next in Old Town Scottsdale in management. And that was the #1 hotel for guest satisfaction in all of Marriott hotels, which was really, really awesome. And I worked there until I had my little Caitlin and Danielle. And I took 5 years off from the company and then returned to the Select brands, which is the Courtyards and Spring Hill and Residence Inn and all of those amazing brands. And I came back and I did that in Tempe at the Spring Hill Suites and Town Place Suites there as a general manager. And then those hotels went to become franchise instead of Marriott managed. So then I was able to relocate to the Town Place Suites in Scottsdale off of 101 and Shea. And then I landed at the Scottsdale Old Town Courtyard, and I worked there for 12 years, which was just an amazing time of my life. The girls were little. The cool thing was I was able to get to their games and be part of their, extracurricular activities, as well as be a successful businesswoman, which was so cool. And then I was so excited that I got to come and be part of the Salt River Marriott Courtyard in 2014. I have worked here ever since, opened this beautiful hotel that is the picture behind me, which is the Residence Inn Salt River in October of 2019, right before the world changed. So it's still brand new, I'll tell you that. And here I am, almost 34 years later, and it's just been the most amazing journey.
I am always just blown away because the longevity of being with one, not even in just one industry, but one company for that long is just remarkable. So, and we've shared too, because I worked at the Camelback Inn in college, and I know we joked about that because it's such a gorgeous, gorgeous property. So we have our roots there in Marriott. So now tell me a little bit about this kind of switch, because if you look at some of the properties that you manage now, and obviously one being relatively brand new, you have done something remarkable that I don't know that many people in the Valley realize, but your ratings and rankings and what you've accomplished, and yes, I'm patting you on the back because I know you don't do it enough for yourself, so I'm going to do it for you. You've accomplished something quite outstanding, because we think of, if you think of the Marriott, again, Camelback Inn or the JW Marriott, some of the very high-end luxury properties, that's a different experience than what you'd experience at a Courtyard Marriott Salt River or Residence Inn. However, there is not a difference in the feeling of how you're treated and the look and the remodel. I mean, it is gorgeous properties, but tell us a little bit about how you've accomplished what you've accomplished, and also how you got there, because you've won some incredible prestige recently.
Thank you so much. I think that there's a lot of things that I'm proud of, and people first are what I'm most proud of. However, when it comes to this ranking, it's pretty cool. So we are on TripAdvisor. Customers get to share their feedback about their stays at different hotels, and then TripAdvisor gets that ranking. And my Courtyard right now is the number one of 87 hotels here in Scottsdale, Arizona, above the Phoenician, above the Four Seasons, above the Westins. And that's not to say anything bad, because we're all part of the Marriott family. But when you think of what hotel might be number one, I know most people don't think a Courtyard would be. And I would encourage anyone to go read some of the articles that are on there about our hotel. It is about the people. We have a beautiful building. We have a beautiful event lawn. We have a beautiful pool. But what happens when you walk through the doors of our hotels is magic. And the team that I am so blessed to work with, they embrace making memories for every customer that walks through our door, and making an impact on them, for so much so that they will go to TripAdvisor and write a great review, naming names of the associates that really took a great responsibility in making sure they have a wonderful stay. So super, super proud of that, and can't wait. It's so cool. This is really cool too. A lot of customers will call and make reservations and say, we saw on TripAdvisor that you're the number one hotel in Scottsdale. We've just got to experience it. So something you can't buy. It's not a ranking you can buy. You earn it. And it's really been such a cool thing to happen to us.
Well, and I know that it didn't happen to you. It really did happen for you. And that is in large part due to the amazing leader here sitting with us. You are remarkable. And everything I've known about you is always putting your people first. And I had actually, our listeners may not know this, but I had the great fortune of meeting you. Oh gosh, now, what are we, 7 years, 8 years, something like that, when You and Improved was looking for a new training facility. And just to give you an idea of that firsthand experience, I walked through the door and this beautiful woman comes up to me with this huge arms open hug. And I thought, and we found our home, and we have never looked back since. So when you greet someone with a big warm hug, especially in new and improved land, that's the way to do it. And you guys have just never missed a beat. And it's always so easy to refer and recommend you, because I know that my clients, my friends, my family are going to have that same stellar experience. So my point being, not only is experience in your team phenomenal, which they are, but it definitely does take the leadership to be the one to light the way. And you certainly do that, my friend. So great job, and all the kudos to you. So tell us just a little bit of a background too. When you're with an organization, as long as you have been, there's certainly people that mentor you and nurture you along the way. Is there someone in your life, whether it's personal or professional, that's kind of shown you the ropes, or that you really, followed in their footsteps or learned from?
I not to take a quote, but I'm taking a quote. It takes a village with me. I am high maintenance. And I would like to say there's one person who did it for me, but it's not. I have been through so many leaders and managers within Marriott that it's so cool that I took parts from each of them, right?
Awesome.
Stuff that I didn't like, out the door, right? But then there was the stuff that I grabbed and I said, oh my gosh, this is how I want to be when I grow up and how I want to be as a leader. And there's so many people that have made a huge difference on my career by telling me, go for this job. It may not feel like it's a sexy job. It may not feel like it's the next right move, but it will be the right move. And it's just such a cool environment in Marriott. And I'm just going to take you back again real quick. When I worked at Camelback Inn, back when I was a teenager, I was honored to be the waitress that Mr. and Mrs. Marriott Sr. I was the person that waited on them when they stayed with us. Every March, the Marriott family comes back and stays at Camelback, as you know, from working there. Mm-hmm. And I was the chosen server on the weekend that got to wait on the senior Marriott. And they're both passed on now, but that right there. And I remember Mrs. Marriott telling me one day, she said, your smile radiates at this property, and your smile alone will take you far in our company. And I thought, oh, such a thing to say, but it really, really, it has always stuck with me. It's like, how do you smile and how do you make others smile? And that makes a difference. So that's just one person who is like the grandmother of our company.
Right.
She was one of the founding members of our company. Yeah. And then just managers that I've worked with along the way have just been super supportive, have also kicked me in the butt when I needed to be kicked in the butt. And the truth be told, right here, you're not doing this right. You're doing this great, and you need to fix it. And that's cool. Honesty, collaboration is so huge, right? Making sure that I'm on the right path, and here's your tools, and now you go, girl, and go do it. And there's just so many. I would feel bad just to name one, except for Mrs. Marriott, because that was the start of it all. But there's so many great leaders in Marriott, and they've all become just a special part of my family.
Oh, I bet. Well, and to get sort of the blessing from the matriarch is a pretty big deal. So that's awesome. Absolutely. That's so great. And for you, I know that you also have your middle daughter now, sort of, I don't want to say following in your footsteps. She's charting her own, but also working within the Marriott companies as well. So that's exciting.
Yeah, very cool. She's a chief engineer at the Scottsdale Old Town Courtyard, which is the hotel that I worked at for 12 years prior to this role. And the GM there was my old assistant general manager, and she's doing amazing things over there. And my daughter loves working for the company as much. I think she just celebrated her 5 years with the company.
That's so great. So great. Just like her mama. I love it. Love it. And so tell us a little bit, take us back, because you mentioned having your daughters and working and taking a little time off, but, getting back into it. I know that a lot of us juggle, being a parent and working and running a company and whatever the case may be. So what were those early days like for you, and what did you sort of learn during that phase of your journey?
Wow, I think that's when you go back, I think as a mom, you always go back and say, I could have been there more, or I could have done more. Mm-hmm. And I do still say that sometimes, but in the end, I was there when I needed to be there. I made the impacts that I needed to make. I think that I've always, when I came to be a general manager, my philosophy is always people first and processes second. And I think that it's so important that, we're taking care of our people, but in the hotel, we create a family too. So I want to be there at the hotel to celebrate successes, and also, to be leaned on when people need that leaning on when they're struggling through life. And I think having that as a culture to work in, and also saying, at 3:00 some days and saying, you know what, my daughter has a basketball game today, so I'm going to go. And I'll be back online tonight at 7 if you need me, and setting that example for many of the, I've got 6 or 7 female general managers that have worked with me that have been promoted out to be general managers that have now taken that with them to say, I can be a really awesome, successful general manager, and I can be an amazing mother and be there when I need to be, because it's not just a 9-to-5 job. That's the cool part about the hotel industry. Cool part and kind of a double-edged sword.
Because the double-edged sword of it, right?
Yeah.
Totally. How hospitality goes.
That's really it. That's really what it's about, is that you know what you need to do to get the job done. And then you also know that you have the flexibility to make sure that you're doing what you need to do as a family role model as well.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. And very, very valid point. And I love the fact that you've mentored these other ladies, into and through their careers and stepping into those bigger roles as well, and leadership roles, and showing them, yes, you can have it all. You can do both. It might be a juggling act, and
for sure
it is, but I love that. I love that they've taken that with them, much like Mrs. Marriott's blessing to you. See, just
thank you.
I also know that you have a very special office, and I don't know if I know Travis has been through You the Leader and has been to many graduations that we host at your beautiful property, but I don't know if he's seen your extra special super deluxe office. He's shaking his head no, so I think not. Okay, so you have to tell everybody, tell us about what is in your office that is a little unique.
I know it is very unique. It is a beach, and it is not a little box beach. It is a full-on beach with a beautiful beach backdrop. I've got sand. I've got beach chairs, literally created. It's a living vision board for me. The beach is my happy place and where I would love to live one day. And to have it across from my desk, a whole wall of it, and have an opportunity to create a beach in my office for a place for refuge, a place for when you need a moment and you just can't, whatever you need to do, you can go to the beach, take your shoes off, stick your toes in the sand and just have a great time. I originally, it obviously was a vision board for me, but then it was so cool that the team was like, I want to come sit in the beach. And then it kind of went from that to becoming a beach session where you could sit in the beach with me. So there's 2 chairs and we can talk about whatever you want to talk about under the sun, right? Anything that your career, your family, anything that I can do to help you, anything that I can do better as a leader. It became a place for people to come and sit down and just share what's on their heart, and I think that's really been such a cool part of the Salt River, especially hotels. Anybody that comes in is so excited to see the beach. And it has also become a very fun part for our customers as well, as you well know, Jody.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I couldn't get my kids out of your beach when they were little. I'm like, okay, really, we got to go. No, the beach. It's so unique. And I love that you proudly show it off and share it with people because I think to, illustrate the point of what you said, having that ability to have what it is that you're either striving for and or a reminder of what matters most or something that's grounding like that. I know you well enough to know that not only is the beach your happy place, but you also are passionate about Hawaii and Hawaiian beaches. And so there's such a Hawaiian vibe in there, a beach vibe. And the other thing I really admire about you is as a strong, powerful businesswoman that you are doing as much as you do. You also are very committed and dedicated to carving out the you time and making those trips. And I know how close you are with your father and your daughters and taking those trips and creating those memories. And I just want to say, I really admire that about you because it's easy to say, oh yeah, we need to do that or one day. And I know far too many people that live like that. And I've never seen that in you. You take that time without the guilt. And I'm sure, it's not always easy to check out like that, but you've really made it such a practice to take care of yourself and your family during the journey that, God forbid, but if and when those days come, I know that you have a plethora of those beautiful memories that matter most. I admire you for that. It's amazing.
Thank you.
Really, really amazing. Well, I am so glad that you are here. And I want to definitely also share some spotlight love with Mr. Travis Gepson, who I've had the pleasure of knowing, like I said, about 5 years now. And tell us a little bit about you because, Rocky Mountain Restoration is where you are today, which is an incredible company. I love Adam Webster, the owner, amazing gentleman. But tell us a little bit about your journey, because this has not been, something that you've been a part of for 34 years. Like Ann.
No, it took me till now, I think, to find my happy place where I feel like it's been 35 years.
Nice.
I went, Southern California guy, went Air Force out of high school with a very clear sense of direction, which was want to be in the fire department. At the time when you were living in LA in the late 80s, early 90s, there was a long list of people who wanted to get into the fire department, hiring requirements being what they were at the time. If you were a young white male like myself, there was a lot of guys trying to get in and didn't fit what the city was needing to fill their requirements. So I had a number of friends that were testing and going through the process that had been on the waiting list for a few years. And the advice they gave me was go into the Air Force, go do firefighting in the Air Force. You'll get civil service points, plus you can get your firefighter certification, your EMT, et cetera, while you're in. So I spent 4 years in the Air Force on the fire department down at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base in Tucson, Arizona. And in the course of 4 years, we had 2 fires. One of them I wasn't working, and it was a very small fire. Nobody hurt, fortunately. The second one, it was actually in base housing. I was working the base housing fire department that day on the truck, and I was what they called the hydrant man. So they pull up to the end of the block, you pull the hose up, hook it up to the hydrant while I drive the truck up to the house, deploy the hoses. I'm very excited for my first opportunity to really make an impact. I get the hydrant turned on, ran up to the truck and grabbed the axe and ran to the door, put my breathing apparatus on, and they drug the hoses out of the house and said, it's out. It's over. It's like, well, that's good, but what happened? So apparently some kid was playing with some things he shouldn't have in the closet, and it was a very small fire. So again, fortunately, nobody got hurt. But that in 4 years, that was it.
It was short-lived.
I didn't really get to live that firefighter dream. And when I got out, at that point, I was married and had a child, and the waiting lists were still there, even with a previous service and being certified. And I was just in a position where I was like, I can't wait right now and, get a job and hope that this happens. So I looked for a career opportunity and ended up with a Fortune 100 company and started off as a warehouse clerk and stocking shelves and moving parts around. And I kind of moved my way through the company until I had an opportunity a few years later. My first real true mentor approached me. He was opening up a distribution center for that manufacturer up here in the Phoenix market and was looking for somebody who knew the product and the applications and the industries we worked in to help him get that business going. So January 16th, it would have been 1994, 96, I moved to Phoenix. We had a startup company, and it was great experience for me to go through everything. I walked in on day one. It was an empty office with a warehouse in the back, and the shelves of the warehouse were stacked up on pallets. So built the shelving, we ordered the furniture, we set up computer systems. We had to get fire permits and business permits and licenses, and I just went through that entire process and built a business here in Phoenix. And ultimately, the business got sold. At that point, we were a $10 million company doing really well, and the right opportunity came along and the business got sold, and I moved on, worked for a couple of different companies, always selling products and services. And then 7-8 years ago, I was working, one of my roles was managing a branch here in the Phoenix market for an air filter manufacturer. Hired a salesperson that had industry-related experience and was a salesperson thinking, okay, great, this sales guy's going to do great. I just got to teach him the products and what we sell and the applications. He'll do great. And he struggled. He struggled for a while. And I tried to mentor, coach, teach everything I could, and he continued to struggle. And it reached a point where in my background, I'd done a lot of self-improvement with training and teaching myself sales and sales process and communication. But I recognized that this is going to take a skill set beyond what I have. And I found a fantastic sales coach here in the local market. And I signed my guy up, said, I'm going to support him 100%. So I'm going to go through the class with him. We'll go through it together. And I met Mike Toney through Conquest Training Systems and spent 2 years as a client. And my sales guy started to produce. I saw my numbers improving. And eventually Mike approached me and said, hey, you seem to really like this stuff. You're a good coach. You're good at teaching. What do you think about coming and doing this for a living? And I was having some issues with the company I was working for at the time. The timing worked out great. So I jumped in both feet with Mike, spent a couple of years doing sales coaching, which is Conquest, as Jody mentions, where I got a chance to meet the beautiful and talented Miss Lowe. And then in that same time, I met a gentleman named Adam Webster, who's the CEO here at Rocky Mountain. We had actually initially went through the first part of Mike's training. We were both going through the training at the same time. Adam eventually stepped back from the sales role, started hiring some business development people, and contracted me to work with his business development people, do ride-alongs and help them develop their skills. So I learned the business as a consultant, working with Adam's people. And when COVID hit, I think everybody was knocked backwards, including as you know, too well, Jody, the training business. And came time I needed to find something a little more stable for my family, and took a look around. And the first guy that came to mind is someone who I would love to work for is Adam. And it was probably a couple of years earlier than what he wanted to do it, but we knew each other well. I knew his business. I knew his sales processes and his people. And so we pulled the trigger, and I started April 1st of 2020, right smack dab in the middle of the onset of COVID. And I'm very proud and happy to say that last year, Rocky Mountain Restoration grew 80%. We'll finish this year with an 80% growth, and we're expecting, to continue 50% growth next year. So we've just taken off, and it's been a fantastic ride. We've got a great team here, and the best part for me is I get to work with Adam, who's a fantastic mentor and a leader of this company. So.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. He's such a great guy. And I love to hear such growth in COVID. That's not the story we hear enough of. So I'm so happy to hear that. I know you shared that with me personally, but so exciting for you, for Adam. And I'm sure he is very thrilled that he made that decision maybe a couple of years earlier than he anticipated in bringing you on board, because I'm certain that 80% growth was not accidental and that you did have maybe a small part in that. So very happy to hear that.
We have a fantastic team, and Adam's built the processes and the structure of the company to allow us to make that growth. Mm-hmm. Surprisingly minimal growing pains. I mean, when we discussed what his goals and vision for the company was, when you start talking about a 15-year-old company that's, forecasting and hoping to get, 20, 25% growth year over year consistently for 3 years at a time, that's really aggressive. I've been in a lot of different industries and a lot of different types of businesses, and coached and worked with different business leaders. And when you start going over 20% growth in a mature company, that's really aggressive. And it brings with it a lot of challenges, a lot of unforeseeable issues. And really, we've taken it really well in stride. And to get the growth we've had, it's a testament to what Adam's built here and the team. The leadership team here that I work with and the people that we have. I'm really proud and excited about where we're at and where we're going.
I love it. Well, and with both of you, you're both such selfless, humble leaders. And when I saw that you two were the guests today, I was so excited because I'm like, literally two of my favorite humans, because the way they lead is just with that servant's heart. And I just love that about both of you. So tell us, Travis, when you think back on your career, I know you said you've had many mentors, and I also know that coaching is a huge passion of yours. You've done a lot of coaching for your children and those sorts of things. But did you have a coach, a mentor? I know you mentioned a couple, but any others in your childhood, or anyone who shared anything or any pivotal advice that's really stuck with you, like Ann sort of mentioned?
Yeah, that's a great question. And The first person that comes to mind is the gentleman that pulled me out of the manufacturing plant down in Tucson and gave me the opportunity to come up here and be his right-hand man and start a business from scratch. And in all honesty, I was probably the worst person for him to pick to do this, because at 25, 26 years old, humility was not a word I was familiar with. Knew what I needed to do. I knew how to do it. You couldn't tell me anything.
Oh, interesting.
And I was very fortunate to have a manager and a mentor at the time, and a gentleman named Dan McNeil, who really was patient with me, recognized my passion and my energy, and said, "Listen, we have to laser focus that. I love it. I don't want to kill any of it. I want you to keep all of that. We just have to focus that going in the right direction." And I learned so much from him about, building, running a business, managing people. And I had a really just a great experience with him. And then obviously after that, there's been some really great managers I worked for, but spending the time I spent with Mike Toney, and really, when I started with him and Conquest Training Systems, I'd already had a 20-year career in sales, was a top performer everywhere I went, had grown every business that I'd been in. So again, I was experienced. I knew what I was doing. I knew what needed to be done. And I sat through my first couple of days with Mike, and my eyes were open to something completely different, where I was like, I honestly left the first 2 days I spent with Mike Toney. I left and thought what I could have got done had I known this 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I would have been that much more successful and had that much more growth had I known it then.
Yeah.
And I've been able to take that into well beyond the sales conversation in how I communicate, with my coworkers, the leadership team, my CEO, at home, with my family, with my friends. It's just been profoundly impactful on me. So yeah, I give Mike a lot of credit for who I am today. Right now, I'm humbled, because today working for Adam is a whole new. I never even thought about, these are all new ideas and new concepts that are continuing to get me up in the morning, excited about what am I going to figure out today? What's going to be the thing today that's going to be my aha moment that's going to really help me continue to move forward.
I love it. Well, one of the things I've always admired about you, Travis, is that you are so teachable and so coachable, and you've done so many different things in your relatively short life. But you've accomplished so much, but you also are just the kind of put me in coach, show me what to do type mentality. And I've always admired about you, and knowing you just through I guess a sales lens. You are one of the most heartfelt sales professionals that I know too. You really lead with that. How do I best serve you, and how can I best contribute to you? And certainly through the trainings that you've been through, obviously, but I do know that that's so much of just how you're wired as well. So I don't know if I believe that whole not humble in the past, because I've only known you as such, but I'll take your word for it.
I'm going to introduce you to Dan one day. I'll introduce you to Dan one day. You guys can have some conversations. I'll let him tell you all the embarrassing.
Okay. I love that. Well, I want to ask you also, I don't know if you have heard, there's a series of questions that I love to ask all of our guests that come on Leadership Lowdown. And these questions are basically, they come from a French television show, and then they were incorporated into a Bravo show called Inside the Actors Studio many years ago. So you may or may not have heard these, but I'm going to ask you to just off the top of your head answer these, because I think it just shows a really neat side of some of our Valley business leaders. So we'll start out with this one, and whomever of you wants to go first, just jump in. But what is your favorite word?
Word.
Mm-hmm.
Aloha.
That awesome, is man. So perfect for you. I love it.
That's awesome, man.
Awesome.
I wish I had something as fun as that. But what we were just talking about with humility. Humility has just become such a powerful part of what we do and who we are here. And it just, when I came into Rocky Mountain, and that's a big focus for us is humility, it's just resonated with me and what it encompasses and what it takes to be truly humble. It's amazing how many people I've met and I've talked to over the years that haven't asked for help.
Yeah.
And it's just humility. It's having the humility to say, I need who can help me with this? Somebody smarter than me has figured this out, has lived through it. I don't have to do this by myself.
Yep.
Somebody help me.
Sign of a great leader. I love that. Aloha and humility. I love it. Very different and beautiful, both of them. So on the flip side, what is your least favorite word?
Pivot.
Pivot.
Pivot. I am over pivoting. I am over pivoting.
I do know that you, my dear, have pivoted and pivoted and pivoted again over this past 18 months. I don't blame you. I think that word probably makes your head want to explode. So true. How about you, Travis?
My kids will tell you that it's the word can't.
Yeah. Yep.
That is not a word that we use, and they go nuts because they'll say it, and as soon as I say, "What did you say?" Dad, I know where you're going with it.
Dang it, got me again.
We don't use the word can't.
That's a good one. Okay, love it. So for each of you, what would you say turns you on either creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
For me, emotionally and to a degree spiritually, coaching, to be able to contribute to others in a meaningful way and watch them take the ideas, the concepts, and excel and do well with it. To me, that's the most fulfilling thing I can do.
I love it.
For me, it's inspiration for me is the beach. I keep going back to it, but that's such a big part of every time we do go on a trip, we plan our days around the sunset, and I make sure to get the sunrises in. There's just something special about the start of a new day with the sunrise. There was an amazing one this morning too that I filmed from my patio, right?
Yeah, gorgeous.
And then the sunset part of it, it's like to reflect on the day and what you've done and what you've accomplished. And for me, especially at the beach, because there's very rarely that I'm not at sunset with my family. My father to my right, my husband to my left, and my girls maybe splashing or sitting or using their phones and, doing whatever they, right? But I'm taking pictures too, but I just think that moment of taking the breath in and just letting the sun set in the ocean, it's just super powerful and inspiring for me.
I love that. And I love your ability to be present. I think that's magnificent. Love it. Love it. Love it. So again, flip side, what turns you off? I stumped him on this one.
Along with it's still that can't mentality for me. I'll add to that and say people that use the word can't tend to be, in my experience, outward directed people, which is, it's not my fault. It's not me that's in control. They're the victims. And that, to me, I struggle with victim mentality and people feeling like, well, I'm just playing the hand I was dealt, or, it's just the circumstances that I'm in. You don't understand. I really have a hard time with that. And it's probably one of my weaknesses is that I do have a hard time with it. And while I can empathize and understand you are where you are today, the victim mentality won't let you get anywhere tomorrow. So if you don't step up and own this, and I've had some powerful conversations here recently with some dear friends that are in situations where if you don't accept that your decisions put you where you're at today, you're never getting out of here.
Yep.
Because it's not in your control. Somebody else has control of what's going on, and that you'll never move forward. So I think that victim mentality is probably the biggest thing that it turns me off.
I'm right there with you, my friend. I get that. Absolutely. So true. Love it. How about you, Ann?
For me, it's good enough. I hear a lot, it is good enough, or it's enough. It's not. It's not to me. And I think that that's the culture that I've cultivated at the hotels too. And even in my own life as the leader of my family, it's not good enough. Good enough is just not it for me.
Mm-hmm.
There's more than good enough. And I'm not saying there's perfection, but there's greatness, right? And how do we get from being good to great? And that's super important in all parts of my life, spiritually, mentally, as a leader, as a mother, as a wife. All of those things are always, I don't ever want to be good enough. I want to be better than that. So
I love that. Just never settling for average. Yep. Perfect. Love it. So you guys ready for this one? This is everyone's favorite. And because it's internet radio, you're allowed to answer it however you so choose. What is your favorite curse word?
I'm probably guilty of using the F-bomb.
Yeah.
You should.
Yep.
I'll say it.
We had a couple of guests. Travis knows one of them very, very well. Kay Eskridge of Images by Kay. And she said the same thing. And then we were talking about how it's the most versatile word and how we could, because our other guest, the amazing Tiffany Divalbus, owner of Wildfire Cross, and the two of them, we were laughing so hard. And like the rest of the show, we were just F this, F that, using it as a verb, a noun, an adjective, you name it. If there was a way to use it, we were using it. It was hilarious. But
you should have started with that question, then we could have taken that through.
It is a good one, though. It's so malleable. You can use it in so many ways. I love it. So here's another one for you. What sound or noise do you love? I know where Ann's going.
The waves crashing at the beach is just an amazing, and children's laughter.
Yeah. Oh. So how about your children laughing at the beach? Is that like
yes,
a whammy?
And that happens a lot. Yeah.
Love it. How about you, Trav?
That's fantastic. I think of our kids first, but because we're in the beautiful, great state of Arizona here, we don't have beaches per se.
Dan's office.
Yes. We try to get away to the mountains. And there's something for me very therapeutic about the wind blowing through the pine trees up in the mountains.
Gorgeous.
That sound takes me back to my childhood and just so many positive, good memories with that noise.
Oh, I love it. That's beautiful. So what sound or noise do you hate?
Can't.
Like, if I mention the word the fact that I can't stand, just that negativity. Yeah.
I don't enjoy the fart. I think the fart is not. The fart is not a noise that I prefer to laugh at. It's around my life a little bit more than I like to admit. I do not enjoy the fart.
And do you have sons?
No.
Oh, well, there you go.
I have a husband, though.
Oh, he just got called out. Oh, Tom, I'm so sorry. Hilarious, though. Love that just happened. You guys are so great. I love it. Okay, so here's a good one. And this one's especially good for Ann because it's probably the most fitting. But for both of you, what profession other than your own would you love to attempt?
I tell my children today, firefighter is the greatest job in the world.
Ah, it's really cool. Really, really cool. How about you, Miss 34 years at Marriott?
My name is Ann Cvelich, and I am here on the sidelines of the New York Giants football game. I would love to be, I am here on behalf of ESPN, and I'm going to be your sports reporter.
That was way too good. That is seriously, that's like a hidden talent that needs to come out and be nurtured, my dear. There's another career. Sorry, Marriott, but she's gonna have a side hustle. I love it. Well, you are a big New York Giants and Yankees fan. I
yes, ma'am.
Absolutely. What profession would you never like to do?
That's a really tough question, Jody. Just because of I have such a hard time with the victim mentality. I think we would really struggle as a counselor.
Oh, interesting. So you love coaching, but not counseling. Look at
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
Very different. And they are different. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Teaching and people who want to be there, I love it. going into counseling and people complaining all the time about things that happened to them. And then my boss did this, and then my husband did that. Like, I don't think I would do well in that profession.
Yeah. I get it. It's funny. That's something that comes up just on the coaching piece of what I do. People say, oh, are your classes, or do you kind of like you go and heal the past? I'm like, no, we're all about forward. Stuff happened, and that's the story. And we can take and extrapolate, a lesson from it, but it's forward movement. So I'm with you on that. I don't think I could sit in the story too long either. No. How about you, Ann?
I would not want to be a funeral director.
Yeah. That was tough.
Thanks anyway, but no.
No. I'm with you. And then Travis and I know an amazing gentleman who is, and every time I see him, I'm like, I don't know how you do it, but God bless you for doing that work. Because that to me would be so painful. So yeah. Way too empathetic for that. I'd just be a hot mess every day. Anyway, let's see. Oh, this is the final one. You guys ready for this one? Mm-hmm. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
For me, it would be, I did a good job as a father. As long as I can get say that I did that well.
Yeah. I love that. I got some goosebumps there, Travis. That's awesome.
The goosebumps are going to go away with me. Sorry. It'd be, come on in, bitch. The party's about to get started.
See, I love this. You're like the yin to his yang. This is great. I love it. That's perfect. Well, they will have I'm sure, an umbrella drink waiting for you, my dear. Many, many, many years down the road. Many, many, many. Well, I want to thank you both so much. This was such a fun time together. And if some of our listeners want to reach out to you or connect with you, are there social media or emails, or what's the best way for them to connect with each of you?
Go ahead, Travis.
So rmraz.com is our webpage. We are on Facebook, LinkedIn, but our webpage has contact us information, and we are 24/7 business. So the unfortunate thing is these things usually don't happen when an hour after you got home from work where you're there paying attention. It's usually as soon as you walk in the door, you're splashing around in water and you got dinner to cook and kids to pick up from school. So when those situations happen, we're a 24/7 business, and that rmraz.com would be the best place to find us.
That's awesome. Well, and Rocky Mountain is definitely the number you want to have in your phone too, on that speed dial when that emergency happens, because Lord knows we've all been there. But you need the thing is you need the trusted company and the one that is going to do things the right way. And I love that about you guys. You always do that. And then how about you, Miss Ann? How do folks best reach you?
My email is best, and it's my name. It's Ann.Cvelich, CVEL. I'm sorry, ANN.
Yep.
CVELICH at Marriott, and it's MARRIOTT.com. And the hotels both have web pages. You could go to Marriott.com and search Salt River Scottsdale, and both hotels will come up. There's even my LinkedIn as well. I'm on LinkedIn, so you can reach me that way as well.
Love it. Well, and your locations are so wonderfully located off of Chaparral and the 101 here in Scottsdale that it's convenient really for everyone because it's got that direct freeway access. So yes, great with all that family coming in town and people don't know where to put them.
Holidays,
now they've got and they're going to get a great big smile and a welcome to the beach in Arizona. See, look at that. People say there's no beach in Arizona, and we can provide that.
I just want to compliment you because during my career, I've covered the western half of the United States for a period of 3 years. And I was, I guess, fortunate enough to be Marriott Platinum. I had small children at the time, so it was a lot of time away from the kids. But Courtyard was my preferred property when I was traveling. And I've been to your facility a couple of times, and even by Courtyard standards, which I think are very nice hotels, your property is outstanding. You guys really do a great job. It's very well kept, always clean, and your staff is phenomenal. So for a guy who's been in a lot of Marriotts, you've done a fantastic job. You got a great property there.
You're amazing. Thank you so much. First of all, for the loyalty to Marriott. Being platinum is no joke, my friend. I think 90 plus nights a year in a Marriott hotel is a huge accomplishment. And I hope that you use those points to take your family amazing places, to listen to the breeze through the forest, right?
Yes.
Thank you for the compliments. It's so amazing to be the leader here, and to get feedback like yours is so awesome. Thank you so much, Travis. And I have a note to talk to my regional engineer about who we may be using. So I will definitely look at recommending your company as well for us in the Phoenix and Scottsdale area as well.
Well, Jody knows I tell everybody, I hope you never have to call me. But if you do, I promise we will be there. We'll do everything we can to help.
Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. I adore both of you. You really are, like I said at the start, just heart-based leaders, and that's what this is all about. So one final thing, word of wisdom for business leaders that is listening today. What is one quick piece of advice, word of wisdom, something that you would share with other Valley business leaders to just keep in the top of their mind as they continue on in their day to day?
The last year and a half, the one thing that's really stood out to me, and when I look back at my career, I can see it, is that humility. As a business leader, as a CEO, an entrepreneur, whatever your role is in leading business, humility to me, it really defines great leadership. And if you ever find yourself as the smartest person in the room, you are in the wrong room.
I love that.
You really should be surrounding yourself with people a lot smarter, a lot more capable than you. We've had phenomenal growth, and that's all Adam's mentality of, I'm surrounding myself with people who are a lot smarter and a lot better at this stuff than me, and going to get out of the way and let them do what they do. So that humility to me would be the thing I would be looking for.
I love that. That's perfect. Perfect.
I'm going to go back to my people first, processes second. It's just so important to love on your people. And with all that, the processes will just seamlessly happen. And I love watching that. So thank you.
Oh, absolutely. Well, you do it beautifully, my friend. Well, thank you both so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. And to round us out today to our listeners, again, you've been listening to the Leadership Lowdown, hosted by me, Jody Lowe, and presented and powered by You and Improved and Conscious Capitalism of Arizona. At You and Improved, we are passionate about working with Valley companies and their leaders to empower their teams to drive success throughout the organization. If I can help answer any questions about any of our classes, programs, or coaching, you can reach out to me at Jody with an I at youandimproved.com, or visit us online at youandimproved.com. And thank you all for listening. We look forward to talking with you again soon.